Let me explain it to you like this in terms of start with the customer and work backwards, okay? If I were to ask you, I would say that all of you would be able to give me some kind of a really good definition of who your target customer is, okay? Get a picture of them in your head. There, you've got that perfect customer that your whole business is geared towards, or your one part of your business is geared towards, and you'd be pretty good at, I'd say, articulating a description of them, whether it's age or sex or demographics or economic status or whatever it is. You'd all have a pretty good, strong idea of that. I would hope as well, being marketing people, that you'd also have a pretty good grasp on what your product is, okay? So you'd be able to describe it pretty well in terms of features and benefits and all those kind of things. Traditionally, what we do when we take a product out to a target audience is we kind of throw it over the wall in some way, shape, or form. We go to market. And there's a lot kind of buried inside in that. But we use a lot of things to inform how it is we take that product out to that person, whether that's research or polls or questionnaires or focus groups or sales or gut instinct or Jerry's been doing this for 20 years or whatever it is. But we use a lot of different tools to inform how we take that product to that person. And I call that market research. Anybody use market research companies? Anybody here a market research company? No? Okay. Do any of you ever use, do you know that the sound really dropped just there because the thing went off and suddenly that question hung in the air. It was very dramatic. Has anyone ever employed a market research company? A couple of you. Okay, fair enough. I'm going to give you a very pejorative and silly example of what a market research company does. You're walking down Grafton Street. A guy comes up to you with a clipboard and he says, how you doing? I'm doing a survey. Would you take a couple of minutes? And you're like, oh, okay, fair enough. So he says, we're thinking of launching a white iPad in Ireland. Would you buy a white iPad? You go, oh, okay, well, I'm an affable enough chap. I suppose, yeah, I'd buy a white iPad. So he goes, clunk, cha-ching, big tick in a box. And he checks you out, what you are, who you are, and your age, height, sex, weight, where your kids go to school, whatever it is. And at the end of 2 weeks of that, of running up and down Grafton Street, doing lots of checks in boxes, they get all those checks in all those boxes, and they roll it up into a big box, and they produce a profile or a picture that says ABC1, 75th percentile, blah-de-blah-de-blah. They'd all buy a white iPod or an iPad or whatever. And that's fantastic. And don't get me wrong, I use market research. I'm being a bit pejorative about my description of it. But my point is it's based on, I suppose, what people say they would do. And I have a brother-in-law who's a lecturer in psychology, actually, and he describes the human condition this way. He says that we lie always, everywhere, to everyone, all the time, always have, always will. And if you understand that and you accept it, you'll be happy. Okay? And most importantly, we lie to ourselves. I think it's a particularly bleak view of the world, but there you go, you know. So what's the point? Well, the point is that when people are answering questions in market research, they're answering them not based on what they would do, they're answering them based on how they would like to be perceived. So will buying a white iPad make me feel cool or make me look cool? Well, then I'm going to say yes, thank you very much. My point is, guys, is that a lot of the stuff we use to inform how we take a product out to a market is based on research. It's based on what people would do, may do, or might do. Sometimes it can be based on previous and the past. The thing about the internet is, by following how people vote with their feet online, how they actually choose things online, what I'm suggesting is that you can, instead of taking your product and pitching it at the customer, you can actually go to the customer and work back and allow them to inform the product before it ever goes out the door, okay? And there's a bunch of tools that you can use, and I'm just going to list 3 here, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard of these already, but there's a myriad. I'll give you a link. Have a look at the Digital Marketing Institute website and go to the blog under my name, and you'll see 50 tools and stuff like that, okay? So there's a whole bunch of things we can use online that will allow us to see what the customer not is saying what they may do, might do, or could do. What are they actually doing? Because I would rather base my marketing decisions not on research, but on what I call reality, market reality. So that is I suppose for me, one of the key differentiators between the internet and other communications mediums, even though they purport to provide you all kinds of feedback and information, it's that ability to I suppose, access market reality. I want to give you a few silly examples. How am I doing on time, do you reckon? Oh, fantastic, great. Okay, so let me give you a few silly examples, okay? I got a call from a company. Anybody here used Google Keyword Research Tool? Okay, used it? Okay, fair enough. Anybody heard of it? Have you all heard of it, Google Keyword Research Tool? Do you all know what it does? A lot of you know what it does. Great, fantastic. Google Keyword Research Tool basically allows you to find out what people are searching for. It's very simple, not very complex at all. So I got a call from a client about 9-10 months ago, and they run creches all around the UK, particularly around London, actually. And they have about 60 creches around London. They said, we're going to create a digital site. We're going to create a website and a web strategy. And it's going to be creshworld.co.uk. It's going to be fantastic. You're going to have all the creches and information about creches and qualifications of the people that work in the creches and products for the creches and maps to the creches. And oh my God, it's just going to be fantastic. They're big into creches. So it's obviously, they were passionate about it anyway. So they said, look, we want you to sanity check this. We want you to work with us on digital marketing. How do we put this out there and all that kind of jazz. We have a TV people and we have our print people and we have our radio people, and we want you to be the digital people and tell us what we're doing and are we mad and all this kind of stuff. So we said, okay, well, what kind of research have you done? Well, we polled all the people in the creches and we asked them this, that and the other. We said, well, okay, but online, I mean, have you done any keyword research online? So they were like, what's that? So we said, okay, Google Keyword Research Tool, opened it up and typed in the word creche and said, okay, how many people searched for creche outside London in the past 3 months? And in fact, within about 100 miles of London. And I think we got something like 38,000 searches for the word creche or something like that. So that was fantastic. They were thrilled. It's brilliant. And then the Google Keyword Research Tool throws up all those other phrases that are related to the search phrase that you're searching on. And Google Keyword Research Tool came up with childcare. And immediately, it was funny, the marketing manager went, oh no, that's a very American phrase. That's very American. That really wouldn't be what we'd be calling what we do. So we said, okay, fair enough. So we look at childcare, and I think there was about 420,000 searches for childcare in the same period of time, in the same location, in the same area, and stuff like that. Okay. So I suppose just to make 1 or 2 quick points on that, they haven't even registered a £25 domain name yet. They haven't even done that, and already, just by taking 5 minutes to go to the customer and work backwards, they've already transformed every aspect of their product. How do I mean? Well, what's the website going to be called? What's the TV ad going to say? What's the print ad going to say? What's the script of the radio advert going to say? Okay? We're working with a company at the moment, and they challenged us. It was great fun. They challenged our team against their team to produce the best radio script. And we split the radio slots in half. And we used a number of these tools and wrote the script. And they used Jerry, the marketing manager, who's been doing it for 20 years, to write the script. And we beat Jerry. And it was really funny, because they didn't tell Jerry they were doing this, which I thought was a bit of a mistake. But when we did meet Jerry the following week, the first thing he said was, who have you been talking to in the industry? Who of our competitors were you working with? And I thought that was fascinating. I was really amazed by the response. All we did was we went to the customers and worked backwards. Okay? So just by taking 5 minutes just to go to the customers and work backwards, it completely transformed every aspect of what it is they were doing. Now, here's the funny thing about it was, 6 months later, I listened to their radio ads and there was no mention of the word childcare. And I looked at their print ads and there was no mention of the word childcare. And I said, guys, do you remember that kind of thing we did, that Google Keyword Research? Oh yeah, I remember that. But the print guys really know what they're doing, So I was like, okay, fair enough. So the surprising thing about it is, and that I'm absolutely struck dumb by the whole time, is this stuff is available to everybody for free, really easily. And yet companies who even have experts to do digital aren't just joining up the dots internally. So I really would encourage you to shout about things like that, because it can impact. Sorry to the guys, but you can use stuff like that to give your agency a good kick every now and again, because it keeps them keen, it keeps them interested and awake and stuff like that. So, but the funny thing about it is, you guys would welcome a client who was actually able to say, hey, we're doing this, we're doing that, we did a bit of keyword research, we did a bit of that. It means that, for me, working with clients, the biggest problem is expectations, really. It's those differing expectations that they're thinking this and we're thinking that. And anyway, it's a whole other thing. So Google Keyword Research Tool basically allows you to go to the customer and work backwards. Okay, it's as simple as that. We did, anybody use Google Trends? Google Trends, a few people? Okay, we've dropped significantly there. I find that quite common. Most people know about the Keyword Research Tool, but a lot of people don't know about Google Trends. What Google Trends basically allows you to do is look at searches over time. Look at what words are trending into use and what words are trending out of use, more importantly. So let's say we have a little graph here, and let's say you're looking at thousands of searches over a particular time period. Let's say it's January to December, okay? Or let's say it's 2008, 09, and 10. Now, let's say around the end of 2008, you put this word into Google. What do you think Google would have said? Are you misspelt it? Are you looking for name, or are you looking for something else? So if you look at search volumes for the word NAMA back around 2008, didn't exist. And then sometime in the middle of 2009, this weird thing happened where it suddenly absolutely exploded in terms of search volumes. I run an organization called the Digital Marketing Institute. Why did we call it Digital Marketing Institute, do you think? Keyword research, funnily enough, and Google Trends. Funnily enough, for years we all called this business online marketing, and a lot of us still do. But about 2 years ago, what we said was we looked at searches for online marketing, and there was this kind of like background radiation level of searches the whole time. And then when we looked for digital marketing, because we originally thought, well, digital, wasn't that crowd in Galway in the 70s? And wasn't everything digi something in the 80s, and digiphone and digi not or digi what or digi whatever. And then so when we set it up around the end of 2008, what we did was we looked at the searches for digital marketing, and they were doing that. And it was about at that point there that we set up the Digital Marketing Institute, because we kind of went, if that even slows to 1/10 of its growth rate at the moment, it's going to pass it out. And so what it's done is kind of done that, you know. So the nice thing about things like this is that it allows you to look at what the customer is doing, but how that's changing over time. My 16-year-old niece visits me. She rings the doorbell and she says, I'm here for my quarterly visit. I find it very interesting. Anyway, she's studying business in college at the moment. But she sits down, and myself and my wife are sitting there. And for the first 10 minutes, we just kind of sit there and look at her, because we don't understand a thing she's talking about. Her cultural frame of reference is radically different, fundamentally divergent from anything we can talk about. I'll throw the odd Posh and Beck's reference in just to see will it work, but no, it doesn't kind of float, you know, because that's about as modern I am in my cultural reference point. But so she talks a language that I have never heard in my life at 16. So if I was marketing to 16-year-olds, I would want to know what that language is. And I would be doing a lot of work around Google keyword research and also Google Trends to see, well, what words are trending in and out of existence over time. The nice thing about Google Trends as well, by the way, is that it also gives you access to seasonality. Because funnily enough, a lot of you, I'm sure, maybe work in businesses where there's seasonal aspects to what it is you do. So we did some work for an Irish college over in the west of Ireland. Anybody been to Irish college? It's a particularly wonderful experience, isn't it? They murder you for 10 years in school to beat Irish into you, and then you haven't got enough, so off you go to Connacht. Go on, learn some more for the summer. I had a Christian brother upbringing in school, so you can understand my sense of whatever. So basically, off we went to Irish college, and we all went over there, and we learned Irish for 2 months of the summer, and we had the Bannon tea, and we had the, you know, all the crack, and you met girls for the first time at 13 or 14, which was really freaky, you know. I'm looking at the lads here, actually, because, you know, they're all sitting there looking at me kind of like you were all Casanovas at 13, like, you know, yeah, exactly. I doubt it somehow. Anyway, okay, so we did this work from an Irish college over in the west of Ireland, and this fantastic Irish college, and I met them. We were running the course in Castlebar for the County Enterprise Board in Castlebar, and they said, I was talking to a former Marine Corps cadet or something like that, or whatever. He set up this Irish college, and it was brilliant. He was teaching Irish through adventure sports. So rather than sit in a class all day, well, you'd learn Irish through sailing or through abseiling or climbing or falling off horses or whatever it is you do and stuff like that. So he said, look, we want to do some digital marketing, and we want to see when we should do it. And we reckon, because we've done a bit of research, that, okay, if that's, let's see, there's Christmas right there. And when do you go to Irish college? You go in June and July. And but we found that it's actually around Easter that people actually make the purchasing decision, and they book online and they pay us the money and stuff like that. So we'd like to do some digital marketing at Easter and just before it, just to really kind of capture that market. So we did some research and some trends analysis and stuff like that. We found some very interesting stuff. So if that's the previous June and July there, and that's October, and that's Christmas, and that's Easter, and that's the summer and stuff like that, what we found was the previous September, previous October, Christmas, Easter, we were getting spikes in searches. For the keyword research was like 4 words: Irish college, Irish school, Irish language college. So we got 4 spikes in searches in Google Trends and keyword research for those 4 words. Have those 4 particular periods of time got anything in common? So end of the summer, October, Christmas, and Easter. Holidays. Whose holidays? School holidays. Funny thing about it was at the end of those periods of time that people did searches for Irish school. So, and when we actually started talking to people, we realized, if I've had them home for 2 weeks, and if I have to have them with me next summer, I'm going to kill them. And so it was literally any period of time where the kids were at home, you got spikes in searches for Irish college. Okay, which I thought was really interesting. My point is that what we did is we just shifted the spend from here at Easter back to these points here. Why? Well, because if you weren't in the mix back here, by the time it came to actually spending the money, you weren't going to actually be included. So people actually bookmarked and found and did research back here, but they made the purchasing decision up here.